looked at how has this worked for them, what have issues and concerns been that have come up from this, has there been increased problems, decreased problems, what does that look like? And in talking with other communities, it is actually decreased problems when it comes to alcohol-related incidents. I think the State Fair is probably one of the best examples of this. After Hutchinson implemented it, they actually saw a decline in alcohol-related incidences because people were walking around instead of just sitting and drinking. A lot of the downtowns said their biggest concern after they implemented it was they didn't go broad enough. They didn't include enough times in there. They didn't make their boundaries big enough. So it was good to hear from other communities their positive feedback on this and how that has worked for them. And also with some of our businesses, we have some of our businesses here tonight. We had a few more that wanted to come, but it's Little League night, and there were a number that were coaching Little League games this evening. So we're not able to come. We've also included in there some common questions that get asked so that you can see those. These were taken from some of the other Main Street communities that already have common consumption in the state of Kansas so that people could see those. There is an education piece to this of educating not only the businesses that are participating and the businesses in the district, but also the community of how this process works. But this has worked in a number of other communities, both in recruiting new business. Last year we did a survey, and the #1 business people wanted to see in our community was a brewery. Something like this can actually be an incentive when we're looking at bringing in new businesses that we already have this in place. We have a number of businesses downtown that have already expressed interest in participating in something like this to help increase foot traffic, to keep people downtown longer, and to keep them shopping and browsing when they're downtown. So that's kind of what I wanted to present to you this evening. There's a few people here who also wanted to speak on it as well. So you guys want to start?
Okay. I'm not really prepared to speak. Jen did invite me down here. I'm Aaron Gettert, one of the owners of Prairie. We do already have a cereal malt beverage license and do sell drinks, 6% beers and under, to consume on site at our store. One of the things that we do often is participate in downtown community events, such as Third Thursdays. Next Third Thursday is our second wine walk. Last year was a big success from my perspective. But I think one of the things that could actually enhance an event like that is to allow the customer, this is a paid ticket customer, to walk through the gallery next door and to the coffee shop and the bookstore. And again, I think my understanding of what Jen sent was that you would opt in to allow those customers to bring a drink into your store, so it's entirely voluntary to the other buildings and businesses in the district. I don't see any downsides. I don't think this is necessarily something that Prairie would do or encourage all day, every day. But certainly for specific events and those types of things, I could see it as an enhancement. And I could also see it being a big enticement for other businesses drawn down into the district. One of the things that my family has said for the last 10 years that we've been in business is that there aren't enough dining, entertainment, and shopping businesses in the downtown district. That sort of turns over every once in a while, but in general, I think retail and dining and entertainment kind of go down over time, or have been, as opposed to increasing. So I think it could be a good recruitment tool to other businesses who aren't necessarily looking at Newton as their ideal destination for where to come and set up shop. So I'll let Joey step up here next. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just kind of build off of that real quickly. So a couple of years ago, the newspaper was responsible for pushing the 30% rule to be abolished in our county. And a lot of people asked, they were like, hey, like, this isn't really affecting that many people. Why do we need to deal with this now? And I kept telling people, it was like, this is an opportunity for us to use this as a recruitment tool. This is an opportunity for us to show Newton does want a brewery, does want something to locate somewhere. And I would point to Grace Hill opening a wine tasting room on the weekends and Moxie opening since the 30% rule was abolished. I would point to those two businesses being open in Newton as reasons why this is something that we should look at right now. As Aaron said, like Prairie is probably one of the few businesses that could currently sell right now, along with Grace Hill and the steakhouse. But like as a person who purchased a building that used to be a bar long, long ago and is slowly starting to fix it up, you know, Lindsay and I have definitely talked about the idea of like, is this an opportunity for us to like maybe, you know, expedite some of that and maybe you get our liquor license. Maybe we become like, you know, somebody who like specializes in the craft beer scene or something. You know, I just want you guys to think about like, we proposed that 10-year plan not that long ago, and you guys were looking at this depot district, right? Just close your eyes and think about like a brewery being downtown, a few other places going on, and like there being like a real vibe and a real like scene in our downtown where like that's not been the case. I think this is an opportunity. I think we would be sleeping on ourselves if we didn't. And my last thing I will just say is my friends, several friends and my wife and I, we all just experienced this. Multiple times actually, we've taken a trip to Augusta, which passed this. And I spoke with Shane, who owns Sugar Shane's, who also helped us get the language ready for the 30% rule. I promised him I'd make a trip to his restaurant, so we did. We walked around downtown. We had a great time. We visited multiple stores. He's also on the city commission in Augusta. I asked him a ton of questions. He said absolutely he does not regret the situation or passing the ordinance, but kind of hit on what Jen said is maybe they didn't make it broad enough when they did this 2 years ago, I believe. I would encourage anybody who is nervous about this to call Augusta. They've got a great setup, and we really enjoyed it. All of my friends, we all drove from Newton to check it out, and they've got a really cute downtown, 25 minutes from downtown Wichita. Shane told me, he said, "Oh no, Augusta is Wichita's Augusta's biggest suburb." That's what he told me. It'd be pretty neat if we got to be the north side version of that. So that's all I'll say.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? I know that this can be a unique situation if you're not familiar with it, if you haven't been to some of these communities that offer it. We have talked to a number of communities that do offer this to kind of get their perspectives. We've worked with Salina, Emporia, Independence, Augusta, just because this is something new for us and something different, and how does it work? So there has been a lot of thought put into this and what we're offering up. And I wanted to put these commonly asked questions just because it is new. There's things that you guys probably will have questions on, but I at least wanted to give you some of that up front. If there's additional, there would be signage placed throughout the district when people are entering and exiting it so that it is clearly marked. In addition to signage that's on poles, there would also be sidewalk signage. So you might see in downtowns where people have either placed sidewalk stickers or spray painted, entering, exiting. So it's very clearly marked where those points are for people who are walking around, can know that. The one nice thing is because we can pretty much do our current district, it also kind of puts boundaries for what's in our downtown so that people know it, because a lot of times people also just think Main Street is our downtown, but our downtown is much bigger than just Main Street. There's a lot of things off a block or two that are also included in that downtown district, and hopefully help direct people to those things as well, so.
I'm glad you hit on the sidewalk because I really like how Salina has done their sidewalk markings for entering and exiting the district. They've really, I think it's helped reinvigorate their downtown. Their downtown is really grown.
Yeah.
Chief?
I have a question.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you monitor this? How do you monitor that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing? And as far as law enforcement, if this goes from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., that's obviously involving law enforcement. Keep an eye on, there's no guarantee that you won't have especially at that hour of the night, and some unruliness.
I will
mean-
say, in effect, these hours won't exist on an average day. And the reason being is a business would have to be open and selling during those times. Prairie is not open till 11 p.m. at night. And so the reason for the 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. would be much more for events, which we would typically already have police presence downtown for. So a lot of these hours, as our downtown stands right now, wouldn't exist on an average day. They would be more for events.
And I will say, I'm confident that I'm going to make a lot of enemies here. When you come, and those who come with you, you want that support. I represent another group of people who, and I ask for your respect and that support as well. And it saddens me when I hear Newton and breweries. And I have reached out to talk to a number of folks about what was coming up. And again, I represent some folks who really are concerned about this. And so I'm sharing that. It's not something I can support. I can just say that to you now. I do thank you for all the work you do. You have worked so hard for Newton ever since you've been here. And I appreciate your attitude toward what you do, your enthusiasm. I hope that you understand that I can't, there's not everything I can be supportive of, because Newton doesn't just have folks here that want restaurants and breweries. They have other desires. And the sad part is having to drive to Wichita to buy clothes, to get that kind of stuff, because Newton used to have those kinds of stores here. And then that slowly diminished. We used to have shoe stores, we used to have clothing stores. And now what we hear a lot about is bringing restaurants and breweries and entertainment. I've been there, done all that years and years ago, and it just saddens me that that's what we're finding Newton wants. And as far as trend, I'm not somebody that just buys into trends because they're a trend. My husband used to say, if people started jumping off the Epic Center, do we want to go join them because it's cool or trendy? And I use that as I'm not somebody that joins in on trends if it's not if I don't consider it profitable. So I'm sorry to be the downer here. I have absolute peace about where I'm at with that, but I do appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Chief, do you see any downside to what's being proposed? What's the negative draws in your eyes?
Well, I don't know that there's any true negative. The concerns I have, they've already addressed. The proper signages, I like the signs that go to and from these particular areas. There are going to be some folks that are going to, test the limits of, they're going to be, but we can deal with that. As this thing expands, we start getting more restaurants and anything like that. The hours will be extended. This is going to be at certain times and dates at this point. I don't see, and I think everybody will grow accustomed to it, and we'll be able to deal with it just fine.
And we did get responses from actually police. Most of the communities that we worked with spoke with their police and had them respond to us as well. And none of the police departments that we spoke with in these communities said that they've seen increased incidences. Are there incidences around alcohol? Yes, but they said they weren't seeing increases in that. There's things that, yes, you will see, but not, they said there was not increases in some of these things. And so they said overall it wasn't a change in enforcement for them.
I've had an experience in another state. I mean, just attending an event where something like this was in place. And I thought I had a good experience with it. It was, it was very chill, and everybody just kind of walked around, did their own thing, and visited. Some people would just kind of, stay in in a group and collaborate and whatever. I liked it. I had fun. I thought it was a great way to get community together. But I get why Kathy feels the way she does too. Because I kind of think about like children as well, like, children being downtown with their families and things like that. And maybe some families don't want their children to be around that. I get that. So it's definitely something, we have some things to weigh out for sure with that. But thank you. You did a great job. Thanks for bringing everyone.
Thank you. All righty. Next item this evening is to consider a request for the facade improvement program funding. That one's Rebecca. Awesome.
It is, although I'll probably key in on Jen again to give us some specifics, but I'll go ahead and get us started off. As you might remember, in 2024, the Newton Main Street Board introduced a program for facade improvement grants. Again, this was kind of one of those rinse and repeats from other communities that had had success. This one specifically mirrored Junction City. In the initial year, the funding that the City Commission provided was $30,000, which with each grant not to exceed $3,000, and each requiring a 50% match. It was very successful, and it was renewed in 25 with an expanded ask for $36,000. I'm going to go through a couple numbers just to show you that return on investment was. In 24, the $30,000 invested by the city generated almost $100,000 in reinvestment in downtown. So while everyone that had to apply had to put at least $6,000 towards the project, most of them were doing much, much greater projects. They kind of used this to spur on maybe that thing that had been sitting in the back corner. And then in the 2025 round, the $36,000 from the city has generated already $132,000 investment. And that's just 6 that we've got fully completed and reimbursed. There's still a few that are in the process of being reimbursed and getting everything towards us. So the return on investment of these dollars are very large, and you can see that as you walk up and down Main Street. In May, the board met, and they are requesting that the program be funded again this year at again the $36,000. That would allow for at least 12 applications, as each year there's more applications than can actually be funded. And then I would ask Jen if she wants to come up and speak toward any of the particulars of the program or how they're ranking them.
Yes. So this has been a popular program. We have actually, the past 2 years that we've offered this, had more applicants than we have had funds to give out. And when we initially did this program, it's the 3,000, so they put in 3, we put in 3, and we had a lot of people question if that would be enough, but it has spurred a lot of improvement in our downtown. When we were actually at the Main Street Now conference, Kyle Fiedler, who used to be in North Newton, he's now in Valley Center, had brought up how our downtown has been transforming with this facade improvement grant. And if you hadn't been to Newton recently, please make it there because it is amazing the transformations that are happening. And that $3,000 investment that we have made has spurred a ton of improvements in our downtown beyond just an awning or a new door, things like that. It has been full fronts on some of these. Actually, Joey was one. Prairie has gotten a facade improvement grant, so two were here tonight. And we're hoping to continue that momentum so that downtown is that welcoming place as you're driving through, because a lot of people go through on K15 and that's what they see of Newton. And we want to put our best foot forward. And also for these small businesses that are downtown, this can really help them to make some of those improvements that can sometimes be hard or cost prohibitive when you're in an older historic building and need to meet some of those codes. So.
And then just so we're aware on the funding side of it, the funds that we're utilizing for this program are kind of recycled CDBG funds that were already earmarked for reinvestment rehabilitation projects. So this does not come out of your ad valorem general fund dollars.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
No.
Alrighty, you have a resolution number?
Yes, that is G-1380.
I move we approve G-1380.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The motion carries. All right, the next item this evening is to consider a temporary alcohol permit for the wine walk on June 18th. Rebecca?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So we have a temporary alcohol permit for this event, which you've heard alluded to a little bit. Their application is in the packet. The provider will be a winery, so they already have their caterer's license, which is why it may look a little different than what you've seen before. You have the map up on the screen, and staff has reviewed and is good with the request.
All righty, so we just need a motion to approve, right?
Yes.
I move we approve the temporary alcohol permit.
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same
Aye.
sign. The motion carries. Next item this evening is to consider the Chamber of Commerce funding agreement. Rebecca. Danielle.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, before you tonight, you have an updated Chamber of Commerce agreement. Since 2015, the City Commission has provided funding support to the Newton Area Chamber of Commerce as it recognizes the importance of a strong, active Chamber of Commerce. Since 2021, that support has been allocated through a formal agreement for specific services, including support and promotion of downtown business, the Downtown Business District. As the Commission has placed greater emphasis on citywide business retention and expansion and ensuring alignment with the city's economic development goals, we are recommending updating the Chamber agreement tonight. The proposed agreement updates were developed collaboratively with Chamber staff, and I did see Pam over here, so if you have any questions, we could ask Pam with her board chair, myself, also city staff, and with the assistance of our mayor as well. With those changes, those changes include, it expands the Chamber's role in promoting Newton and increases visitation to the community as a whole rather than limiting it to downtown. It increases the annual reporting requirement to include a little bit more information that includes downtown impact, community-wide impact, and event participation, specifically attendees, vendors, volunteers, which I know Pam has provided that to us in the past. It's now just formalized in the agreement. It clarifies expectations for coordination and support of annual events as listed in the addendum. It requires, this is a bit of a shift, joint city and commission chamber approval if there are additions or deletions or any changes on that event list. Lastly, it does increase the funding from $30,000 to $35,000. The additional $5,000 would be to reimburse the chamber for first year membership dues for qualifying new chamber members in an effort to support the chamber and first-time membership. Since 2021, the city and the chamber have agreed to a budgeted funding allocation through this agreement. So the agreement would increase from $30,000 to $35,000. The funding source for this would be out of the Economic Development Fund. So like Rebecca mentioned earlier, it would not be paid from ad valorem taxes. So the recommendation is to approve the agreement. And stand for any questions. Yeah.
Just a common vote is all we need. Is that right?
Yep.
I move that we approve this revised agreement for the Chamber of Commerce funding.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
I want to thank Pam and her chair for her, the back and forth. I know we had a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion went into this item, so I just want to thank her for her time.
Thanks. Ernie, next item this evening is a Planning Commission item, couple items. Special use permit 320 South Pine. Rebecca?
Yes, thank you. So this will be a two-part action. One is to receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission regarding this special use permit, and then the second will be to consider the approval of the permit. A little bit of background. The application is for a special use permit at 320 South Pine. They are seeking permission to construct a 24 by 28 two-story garage with second-level living quarters. The first level would be a wood hobby shop, and the second level would be living space for their daughter. The official zoning map is incorporated by reference, was amended, and so it was a PO district. They redid it to a R1 so that they could be able to apply for this SUP. And then the Newton Planning Commission considered this application and conducted the public hearing on Monday, just earlier last week on June 1st. And you'll see the motion and seconds in there as well. So the recommendation then would be to receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and that is contingent on the completion of the single lot plat that was mentioned during the Planning Commissioner's review of the item. And then consider approval of the resolution, and I would stand for any questions.
I move that we approve the recommendations for the Newton Planning Commission.
Can they be together, or do they need to be two separate?
We typically do it as two motions once received, but I think you'd be okay if you want to combine.
Okay.
So first would be to receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Yes, A and B.
Okay, so she's offering a combined motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second on the combined motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
That was resolution number G-1381.
Very good, thank you. All righty. We are going to move into an executive session. Do you have a?
Yeah, and I'll give you a script. This is an attorney-client. We obviously have additional agenda items to follow. So typically we go to executive session, there's no action, but there will be further action after this meeting.
Okay.
I think we'll need maybe 20 minutes, 7:50.
All right. All right. You want to do it?
Yep.
All right.
I move that the City Commission recess into executive session to conduct discussions with legal counsel. The justification for closing the meeting is to consult with city attorney to discuss matters privileged under attorney-client relationship. Time and place at which the open meeting shall resume is
7:50.
7:50 here in City Commission chambers.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
To executive session to conduct discussions with legal counsel. The justification for closing the meeting is to consult with the city attorney to discuss matters privileged under the attorney-client relationship. The time and place at which the open meeting shall resume are 8 p.m. at the City Commission chambers at City Hall.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Go. Sorry.
Aye.
I've returned from our executive session where no action was taken. We're now in open session. We're going to give our city attorney a few minutes, and then we'll get started again. Yeah. Oops. Ruh-roh. They put me on the cancellation list.
So you could get in before that.
So hopefully I can get in before or before my reschedule from July 30th.
Well, so what are you having now?
No, just
to
follow
follow
up. Yeah. I'm doing okay.
You go.
Yeah.
So you don't have any,
Yeah. Never read the medical report.
yeah, I don't. Just tell me if it's okay.
Yep, exactly. Tell me what my copay is.
Yeah. True. I don't like that. There's a coaster. Gosh. I'm getting what that is, and I don't set my coat on it. It's a coaster. I just realized it's a coaster. It's better late than never.
For both of them.
And this, I've had this thing for at least, golly, I mean,
So if it doesn't connect, swipe down and make sure Bluetooth is on. The one
Okay.
next to the V.
okay.
And then hit
Oh, just push it. Oh my gosh, okay, it's been 5, 6 years.
stick with me, kid.
So I've just been operating on this way. Oh my gosh, I can't. Oh well. This is going to be much nicer. Oh my gosh, this will be much nicer.
Ready? Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Next item this evening is number 8, Mayor's Appointment, Newton Housing Authority. With that, I would make a motion to start the process for the removal of, actually, let me rephrase that. Currently, the Newton Housing Authority has a 5-person board, and that board has 3 open vacancies and 2 sitting members of that board. And I would make a motion to start the process of removal of those 2 current NHA commissioners. The NHA board has failed to resolve the concerns raised by this commission at our most recent meeting in March of 2025. At that meeting, we discussed communications, the treatment of residents, procedures for addressing tenant complaints, strategies for evaluating tenant satisfaction. These details and more will be sent out in a notification letter to those 2 members after this meeting under my signature, and the details will be made public after this meeting. I would call for a motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries. Second part of that is I would make a motion to appoint 3 new members to the Newton Housing Authority to fill those vacant positions. And I did not write it down. I would move to appoint Greg Yutzi to fill the open position by Jason Shipley. I would move to appoint Cindy Simmons to fill the unexpired position by Joe Carbajal. And I would move to appoint Kay Self to fill the vacant position by Scott Keel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Alrighty. Next item this evening is citizen forum. Did anybody sign up? Are we? Oop. All right. Oh, Joey? Okay, very good. So nobody signed up for citizens forum. All right, we have 2 executive sessions we have 2 executive sessions left in this evening's meeting. We will not make any, take any action as a result of those, so this is the end of our formal meeting. If you want to go around the horn, we can go around the horn and then do our executive session. Any comments?
No.
Yes, I just want to give a great shout out to our IT team. As you'll notice, we've got 3 wonderful new screens tonight that are not flickering or turning off. So we are all prepared for our long budget work sessions coming up next week. But
I totally didn't notice that.
they wanted to make sure we put a little more ergonomic design here in the commission chambers for you so that you'll be on your long work days, you're not having to twist and turn all over. So I just wanted to give them some good kudos because they got this done on a real tight turnaround for us.
Captain Obvious. I totally
I was
didn't.
going to say, how did I go all
Here
meeting
or over
without
there?
noticing that?
Right there.
No.
Wow,
Daniela?
Nothing for me.
All right. Sure.
great. No,
Commissioner?
thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you. All right, so. Oh, my. So 8:30?
I move that the city commission recess into an executive session to conduct discussions regarding an industrial aspect. The justification for closing the meeting is to discuss data relating to the financial affairs of the trade secret of corporations, partnerships, trust, and individual proprietorships, if I say it right?
Yep.
The time and place at which we open meetings shall resume at, you said
8:30.
8:30 at the city commission chambers of City Hall.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. returned from our executive session where no action was taken. We're back in regular session, and I'd call for a motion for another executive session. You want to do that one, Jason?
I move that the city commission recess into executive session to conduct discussions with legal counsel. The justification for closing the meeting is to consult with the city attorney to discuss matters privileged under the attorney-client relationship, and the time and place at which the open meeting shall resume are 8:40 p.m. at the city commission chambers at City Hall.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
we need to read the whole thing again?
Attorney-client. Or you can make a motion to extend.
I move we extend it 10 minutes.
I second.
Reconvene.
A second?
Aye.
Aye.
We are back from our executive session where no action was taken. This meeting is adjourned.